Today I wanted to talk about some things, and I was thinking about some stuff that I was like, man, these things are awesome, and they help people to grow spiritually, and they help people to grow closer in their connection with themselves and in their connection with the Father, with the Creator, with Source, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, man, why don't we hear about these things? Why aren't we these great teachers or spiritual people, talking about these things? But many are, many are. I'm doing awesome, Mr. Official Man. Thank you. But so one thing I wanted to talk about today, I want to ask you guys, and throw some stuff out there to me. What do you guys think projection is? What is projection? Anybody heard of projection? We're going to talk about how we become closer to the Creator. And my earlier post today was, we're all on a journey. We are all on a journey. We are all in different processes. And as we are on that journey, and as we are in these different processes on our lifelong journey, we should be evolving. Our purpose is to evolve, to become that higher self, so that we can experience love at the greatest level possible for ourselves, and so that we can give love of ourselves at the greatest level. And how do we go about doing that? How do we go about doing that is the question. And on my journey, I've been able to learn quite a bit about myself, which allowed me to be able to experience love at a much greater level, and to be able to give love at a much greater level. He said, and what a journey. This is true indeed, true indeed. You learn so much, but when a person is open and honest with themselves, when we're open and honest with ourselves, we get a chance to really, really see more about ourselves than what we thought was in there. Be the great one, what's going on? How we doing today? Life with Tiffany. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at, depending on where you're at in this world. But on this journey, we learn so much about ourselves. And then when we learn about ourselves, we try to continue to have better relationships as we're evolving. And in that evolution, some of the things that we don't get a chance to get taught, and we have to find out through a lot of self experience, or self-realization, self-actualization. Sometimes some people never get a chance to learn some of these great things. One of those things about ourselves is projection. What is projection? I asked some of you guys, anybody know what projection is? Throw it out there. I didn't see if I got any thoughts. I didn't see any. Projection is what we do. A lot of times people look at projection as what we see in somebody else, or something that we just see in somebody else. Particularly, Original Bella says, I learned so much about myself that this last season, it wasn't until I really seeked the face of God. This is true. That's great. That's an awesome testimony. A lot of people see projection as just something, maybe an emotional feeling that we might see, or something that we might see in others. Yes, and that in part is it. Kaysen's mommy, how are you? Happy Sunday. Love, light, and blessings to all of you guys who are out there, who are sharing this time and space with me. I appreciate you all for being here. Some of the things I wanted to talk about today, I'll just backtrack a little bit, is projection. Is we're on this lifelong journey that we're on, and on our own personal journey. In that journey, we learn a lot about ourselves, and we want to evolve during our journey. Those of us who really want to be better than we were yesterday, better tomorrow, better today than we were yesterday, so that we can become the greatest being, the greatest person that we have the potential of becoming. And keep in mind, just because there's potential in something or someone, doesn't mean that potential will be actualized or realized. We gotta be mindful of that, but that's a whole different conversation. But talking about projection, how do we project? Projection is the qualities we fear in ourselves. We see that in other people, and sometimes we can have positive projections as well. We can see positive things within ourselves, and we can see that in others. But projection is basically that. And so a lot of times people will look at projection as, okay, something that they see in others, or something that may be there in others, and not necessarily notice that it's something that they may be dealing with inside of themselves. And so when we look at projection, we want to understand the source. What is the source of that projection? When you look at a projector, the projector is projecting out onto a surface, whatever that surface is. A projector is projecting whatever is programmed in the source of the projector is what it shows out. So that's all the projector sees. The projector doesn't see people in the room or anything else. It sees what it's putting out, or what's sourced already within it, from within it. And so that's what projection is in a small, short nutshell. It is those things that we see in ourselves that we have the possibility, or that we see in others. And sometimes that's unconsciously. Oftentimes it's unconscious. And there's a lot of work that one has to do within themselves to be, and the word that I really want to use is very powerful, is mindful. Being mindful, to be undistracted in the monitoring of ourselves, the monitoring of our emotions, the monitoring of our spirit being, the monitoring of what we're putting inside, because those things source that projection. Monitoring our fears, okay, being mindful of monitoring our mind, okay. And so when we're mindful of that, when we're undistracted in that, we have the ability to monitor those things a little bit more successfully. And as we monitor them, we can be honest with ourselves and be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing within myself. Yeah, I know I see it in that person, whether it's positive or negative, but this is also something that's inside of me, and I didn't really realize that. Once we're mindful of projection and what happens, we have the ability to be a whole lot more unchained and unburdened by negative emotions that may come from disappointments or letdowns, and what our expectations are of other people. Because the only one we can control is whom? Who's the only one we can control? We can only control ourselves. We have total control over ourselves and total control over our environment, mostly. So when we begin to monitor our own environment and change our own environment, that's why that saying is important. Be the change that you want to see, or be the change that you want to be. Okay, and so when we begin to be mindful of those things and understand what's within us, we have less of ability, or we have less tendency, I'll say, not less of ability, scratch that, but less tendency to negatively project, or negatively or positively project onto someone something that is not really them. It's only us. And we see things, we see people through the lens of our projection, and we're unaware of it. But when we're mindful of it, we can see it. So I can see, for instance, I'll use me for an example. If I see something negative in somebody else, then I'm going to turn that projection off and be like, okay, what are they doing? Is that something that I fear doing to someone else? Something that I fear someone doing to me? Or is it an expectation I have of someone else? It may be positive, but it may not be time for them to do it. So I can't project that off onto them, because it may not be their struggle, it may not be their battle, it may not be something that's positive for them at the time, and they may not see that. So we have to monitor ourselves and not necessarily look at people through the lens of what that projection is. And so when we do that mindful monitoring of ourselves, it allows us to evolve, I'm telling you, tremendously. We evolve tremendously into a greater person, because now we have less expectations of other people, and we can see other people for who they really are. Sometimes we for instance, in relationships, and you guys know I have a really big thing for love. I have a really passion for love. I have a real passion for relationships, and seeing people realize and actualize relationships in a positive way, so that they can capitalize on the greatest experience of that relationship, whether it's sharing or receiving love in that relationship, whether it's agape or eros relationship. And so in order to be able to do that, we got to train ourselves. Notice my shirt, it's train. We got to train ourselves to be mindful of that, so that we can have that happen. God always positions us to see certain negative just to show us what he doesn't want us to do, especially when it comes to ministry. Definitely. And so when I look at that, the things through the lens of self-realization and self-actualization, it helps us to become better. It helps us to become closer with the Creator. It helps us to become more spiritually in tune with the Creator. It helps us to become more spiritually in tune with ourselves. And so we don't necessarily have to have someone as a go through, as a proxy for us to God or to the Creator, whatever you decide to call it. We can go directly to source ourselves. We can go directly to source, have source help us filter out what's negative so that we can see people for truly who they are, and then be able to actualize that love in a more positive way. And so in doing that, it helps us to become spiritually higher, because we get a chance to filter out all the darkness, filter out any darkness, and actualize any darkness and move it out of our way, so that we can mindfully be present and mindfully be positive in our own lives first, because it's hard to be a full piece to someone else in a relationship if we can't be full pieces for ourselves first. And so once we have the ability to be full pieces to ourselves, a whole piece to ourselves. Like for instance, when we look at a puzzle, you can split the puzzle apart. And as you put it together, you understand that the puzzle makes one picture. Together, it creates one puzzle picture. But each piece is an intricate piece to that puzzle. Let's say even if it's the last piece and it's a corner, and it's the picture or a part of it is the sky, it doesn't necessarily define any other particular piece in that main picture. But nonetheless, it's still one full piece by itself. That one full piece is important to the entirety, to the totality of that entire picture. And if we leave that piece out, if that piece is unbroken, then the picture is not whole. So we have to be whole pieces within ourselves, and that means being mindful of fixing all the different pieces that make us up. You know, a lot of times we see people out here speaking various different things, but they're not talking the entire truth. The entire truth is important, because if we only give bits and pieces of the truth, as we know throughout history is wrought with examples of bits and pieces of truth, misleading truths, or layered truths that leave knowledge unwhole. The sum total positive piece of that knowledge is not there. And so we don't want to do that. People that are light workers and people that are sharing knowledge, if you don't know, you don't know, and you share out of the sum total and essence of what you know. That is the positive of it. But when we knowingly mislead people by giving false information and false doctrine and false truths, then that's going to come back on us, and that's not going to be good. But even worse, we lead people astray, and we should not do that. We have to totally give people the total truth. And that's one reason why it's very important for us to do our own work. We have to do our own work. We have to do our homework. We can't just listen to what one teacher or preacher is saying, but everyone has different pieces of knowledge. And when we take that knowledge and that power, those powerful truths, and put them all together, it should all lead to the divine creator, to source, okay, to the creator of the universe, to the Father, to God, to that greater being that's within all of us. And we should be able to transcend things as we get all of this knowledge, and as we begin to fix ourselves piece after piece. If we have, if a person or all of us, we have different problems, myself, I'm not perfect, I'm imperfect. I want nobody to think of me as perfect. I have my struggles, I'm on this journey with you all. I'm continuously evolving. And so as we fix the different pieces of ourselves, and as I fix different pieces of myself, I have to fix the problem for me. Daryl has to fix whatever the problem is. Daryl can't take a feel-good thing and place a Band-Aid on a problem or on a symptom and say, I'm better now. That's not going to work, because you know what? I'm going to continue to face the same issues. I'm going to continue to face the same problems. And so we don't want to do that. We have to fix the problem, the root of the problem. And so when we fix the root, we know the symptoms go away. If we fix the symptoms, they'll persist. And if you only try to fix one problem without paying attention to other problems, then we can continuously have systemic failure. And then we have problems in that area as well. So we have to be mindful of the different areas and monitor ourselves. And we can do better in our relationships. But first, we got to do better within our personal relationship. When we do better within our personal relationship and fix the inner self, then we have the power to fix or to be whole. And then in being whole for ourselves, we can better be whole for someone else. We can better be present, available in those relationships, and vulnerable without necessarily being fearful. Okay. And so we don't do projections. Once we have the ability to fix ourselves, we lose those projections, because we're not looking at things through the lens of that projection any longer. we're looking at things through the lens of truth, through the lens of love, through the lens of relationship, through the lens of symbiotic relationship, okay? And it takes two whole pieces to make a puzzle. It takes two whole pieces to make a part sometimes, okay? And so when I was talking about that puzzle, that last piece, if it's a whole piece, when we put it there where it goes, wherever it fits, then the picture is whole. The picture is whole. And that's very important. So today, I want us to start our week off in power, living that power life. All right. And as we go through the week, be mindful of some of the conflicts that we might come into, because conflict is not always a bad thing if it's handled properly. We can look at conflict within a situation and monitor within ourselves, and better give us an opportunity to monitor it outwardly. And so if we have conflicts, let's take a minute and say, is that something that I'm projecting? Is that something that's within me? Now, also be mindful that everything is not a projection. Some things are just the way they are. But in order to sift that and filter that and see it positively, we have to look at things through the lens of truth and self-examine first and say, is that what that really is? Is it me projecting that? Am I seeing that which I see in someone else? Is that present in me? If it's not present in you and you're being totally honest within yourself, then that's great, and continue to move forward. But always handle it in the best way possible, with love and with light, okay? And those are things that we gotta do. So as we're going through this awesome week, today is Sunday, I wanted to send you guys always love, light, and blessings as we get ready to go through this week. We're all on this journey together. We're all here together. As Prince says, dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to get through this thing called life. And so as we go through this thing called life, know that we are here together, and there's no person that's here in the world by themselves. We're not islands. We're all here together. And the more that we do together, the more we can accomplish together, and the better this space we can create, the better space that we can create. So I wanted to tell you guys, hey, I love you. I thank you for sharing this space with me. And I'll give you guys some opportunities to throw out questions if you have any questions. I don't really get a chance to do much question and answer period. So we got a little bit of time. But if you have any questions, feel free to throw them out, and I'll try to help you in the best way possible, or answer it in the best way possible. Hey, Foxy One, love you too. Miss you out there in London. I got to get back over there. I keep saying it. I got to get back out there. Much love to Ava Brown. I know she was in the hospital. I talked to her a couple of days ago when she put that out, and I got on her Friday about, hey, you didn't tell me you was in the hospital, and she said blah blah blah, whatever she said to me. But I'm gonna get on her. You know, Ava Brown is an awesome, powerful lady. She's doing great, wonderful things, as you are as well. Foxy One, she's got the book out, Mango Girl. The movie is gonna be coming out soon. She's doing some powerful things, and I'm proud to say that she's a very, very good friend of mine. I love her a lot. Foxy One, let me see you. Eric Clomer. What's going on? Any questions? Anybody got any good questions as far as projection or things like that we can talk about? Good subjects. Anything that I left, or something I may have not explained clearly enough that I can talk a little bit about in depth and try to clear that up. Nope, that's not vodka. It's water. It's water. No vodka today. See, I know there was something that I may have wanted to talk about. We're gonna jump back on sometime later on this week too, and talk a little bit more about the Power Life. That's one of my acronyms, Power Life, and it's through various different parts of my post on the profile. I'm just grateful to be able to be here and to share all that different information. I have some collabs coming up. Still working on the book. I hope we had some awesome information come out today on projections, because a lot of times we don't get a chance to hear those things, and these things are not cleared up, and we don't have these conversations. And you're definitely not going to hear it unless you go to perhaps a spiritual center. And what I mean by spiritual center is, I don't mean a church or temple, but more or less a spiritual center where people are being taught how to commune together and commune with the Creator. So how to deal, let me see, life with Tiffany. Do people also protect or project their, first of all, let me see, Where are you? Looks beautiful out there. We are out here in awesome sunny Florida. Sunshine, palm trees, swimming pools everywhere. It's hard to complain regardless of what life situation is. It's hard to complain about something like that. So when I do feel myself in some problems in my thoughts, I gotta be mindful. I gotta be mindful of it. And then I'd be like,
That was easy.
I hit the easy button and I try to shift my thoughts. I shift my thoughts and try to shift my energy. But I have to do that within me. And sometimes we have to have support mechanisms where people can help us do that, whether they're close to us in proximity physically or somewhere else. It's positive to have people that are support mechanisms. So I'm here in Florida. Do people also project their good qualities, attributing them to people who truly do not deserve them? If that makes sense. Yes, it does make sense. And I spoke a little bit about that earlier. Psychology, when they talk about it, they call it the halo effect. And what happens is, for instance, in a relationship, as a matter of fact, I just got done doing some studying on this. The halo effect is when people project those thoughts stemming from the newness or the positive in that relationship. They project those positive thoughts onto someone else, so much so that the tangible aspects of what things may not be true about that are not seen. And so it's called the halo effect because all you see is the projections of what's positive that you believe are in that person, and stemming from the emotions that you feel on the inside and the positive things that you want to see. So we can have expectations from that aspect through that lens. And then when things go wrong, we don't attribute it to ourselves. We don't attribute it to those expectations. All we see are those expectations were not met, or those expectations were broken. And other people are human. It may not have even been that person's intent to break those expectations. They may have been doing everything within their power to do all that would make us happy or please us. But when those expectations are broken, now we have problems, and we have systemic breakdown in that relationship, in that feel good portion of what's quote unquote called in love, or the happiness part, because we had that halo effect, and all we saw was that. We forgot to see the person as a human being, okay, because of the lens that we looked at things through. So when we project positive things, we have to be mindful if they're projections, and that other person is human, and they may not wake up that day and say, let me just disappoint this person whom I care about, whom I really love. And that happens because a lot of times in relationships, or most oftentimes, relationships fail because of money, communication, and various other different things. Okay, and so we got to be mindful of those things. That when things don't meet our expectations, did I see it through the halo effect? Did I just project something off onto that person? Did I take time to see actually what was real in that person and their human frailties? What areas they might be weak in, and do I love them through that, or is it something that's so bad that I can't stay because it's going to take from me? Am I strong enough to be in it with that person? And we can be mindful and do those things with love instead of hostility and cruelty. Things that are going to continuously break that other person down, or break ourselves down, and create another broken cycle for two people who really went in with good intentions to love one another, or had friendship, to love one another. What happened because there were projections there, and they forgot to deal with each other from the human aspect, the human element. So I hope I explained that, Miss Life with Tiffany. Thank you. Your page is awesome. I love you. You're very, very awesome. Thank you very much. And today, be grateful, everyone. She's the master of being grateful. She talks about it a lot. So thank you for that. Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Miss Life with Tiffany. Please let me know if it does, ma'am. Foxy One, how to deal with the pain of my parents' transition. How to deal with the pain of your parents' transition. The one thing I'll say is we're human, and it's positive to love someone. And how I deal with the pain of transition, I had two great people leave me relatively recently. My grandmother, who was the greatest woman in my life, my grandmother at the time, because they're golden, grandparents are golden, I always say that, and my dad. And I understand that this place is just one place in our journey as beings. For me, the way I dealt with it is because I know I can't hold on to them forever physically. And if I don't let them go, then I'm not letting them go in peace. Although their spirit, their being may have went on, but now I'm chaining myself to the hurt of something. I may not have been ready for them to go. but they were ready to go, and things beyond my control were ready for them to go. Okay, and so if I don't let go of that, then I'm going to hold myself negatively to the emotional pain of that, and it's going to tear at me in various different ways that may prevent me from growing, prevent me from reaching someone else who may come into contact with that same pain. Okay, so at some point in time, we have to let go. I'll use one that's very dear to me, and this is I'll be very transparent in this. My son, my daughters, I love them very, very much. I love them. I've been a step parent, so I love those children as well. Um, I know that I'm only vested with being custodians, whether it's for a short period of time or for a long period of time. And I have to prepare myself that if the Creator calls them, I don't want them to go. I don't. I don't want them to go at all. I would rather leave this place before them so they have the opportunity to live out a great experience in this place. But if I don't realize that I'm their custodian, granted with the obligation to be a role model or to be a custodian in whatever way possible, then I'm going to hold them prisoner to my expectations. I'm going to hold them prisoner, and then if something happens, I'm not going to be able to deal with it positively. So I have to understand my purpose in the life cycle of that other being, and I'm not the prisoner of them. I'm not the holder of them. I'm just the caretaker. I'm here with them on their journey. And if I don't allow them to live free, uninhibited from my expectations of them outliving me, then it could be problems within myself. And so I have to understand that they don't belong to me. I'm vested with responsibility with them and for them, but they don't belong to me. They belong to the Creator. They belong to God. And so that's how I deal with it, and I hope that helps. And how you deal with that is you should have a support mechanism, have someone around you who's open and vulnerable to your emotional cries, your emotional needs, so that you can vent those things and allow them to get out and allow you to deal with them in a positive manner. And that's very important. You have to have that. I hope I answered that for you, Foxy. April, like the button. Thank you. I love it. But I do not deserve, that they do not actually possess those good qualities. Yes, that's true. In projection, sometimes we can see something, and I said this a little bit earlier, we can project positive things from our lens based off of how we feel about something or how we want to see something because we see potential. But that doesn't mean that potential will always be actualized or realized in that destination or in that person or in that situation. So we have to be mindful of not putting that projection of positivity off on someone so greatly that we don't see the human frailties or the human aspect of, okay, does this person have the propensity to be able to do right by me under these things? Let's look at the human aspect of it, and I talk about what's the heart of the matter. Does the heart of this person, is it dark and cruel, and I'm just not seeing it because I really like how this person looks, or I like how this person is, or I like what they do for me at this time? But if they're treating other people in a bad way or a negative way, am I overlooking those things because of my positive projections and that halo effect? So do they deserve what I'm giving to them? Do they deserve to be with me? Okay, and this is a very good question, and I really appreciate you for it, because being transparent, I faced that numerous times, and because I didn't stop and look at the signs, I didn't realize what was going on, that halo effect, I allowed it to blind me because of the agreements that I had formed within myself over agreements of times through religion, Western Christianity, through religion that I was born into, through belief systems that I was born into, and through things that I never questioned. I never questioned, why is this like this? Why does this not work when everybody says it's supposed to work? And because I never questioned those things, I never had the opportunity to face them and look at them and see, that doesn't work for me. That's not right. But instead, I went forward with what I call blind faith. Not spiritual faith, but blind faith. And that blind faith led me to be continuously naive. And so one time, two times is naivety. Third time is just negligence. Okay. And so being honest with myself, I was negligent when I went through certain things multiple times because didn't stop to ask questions. Well, hey, stupid Daryl, you might want to ask some questions. Obviously, things are not working in that area, so you need to fix some things. Otherwise, you're doomed to repeat it. And we only have so much time on this planet. So we have to be mindful of those things, be honest with ourselves, and fix those things whenever we have the opportunity to. But it takes being honest with oneself about the situations that one has faced before one can fix them. If you don't realize you have a problem, you're never going to try to fix the problem, And so I hope I answered that question by do not deserve, as far as people not actually possessing those good qualities. Let me know if I did, man. Please. Um, Sensitive and you love them both. I know, Foxy. I know we do. We love people. Okay, thank you, Tiffany. So Foxy one, Daryl, they are alive. Dad has dementia, early stages. Mom is struggling with it all, and I don't really know them. Wish I was around more. Foxy one, I know being a powerful person that you are, and all the positive work that you do. If you haven't read it or listened to it, whichever you do, audio or read, do the Four Agreements. The Four Agreements. And the Four Agreements talks about, one of those agreements is do your best. Simply do your best. And in life, that's all we can ask of anyone. That's all we can ask of ourselves, is that we do our best. If at the time we don't do our best, then we have some issues, and then we can have guilt, because it'll come back to us, and we'll say, you know what, I didn't do my best. I didn't do everything I did, and I faced that before. I have faced that, and sometimes we beat ourselves up excessively about that. I didn't do my best in that situation. I could have put out more. I could have did more, but all we can do is do our best. And so do as much as you can, and know that your parents, they love you. I'm sure they love you. And so as you do your best, they accept the best that you give them, and the best that you've taken away from them into your life. So just do your best, and that's all you can ask of yourself. And that's all that they would ask of you, is that you do your best. No problem, man, no problem. Have you read the Four Agreements or listened to it? High Threat, what's going on, my brother? High Threat, man. Hey, I love you. It's good to see you on one of my lives, man. You're an awesome dude, man. I appreciate you. Great guy right there. I spent a lot of time with him over in the Sandbox. He's a great warrior, prior U.S. Marine Corps vet. Awesome guy. As you see, he's got jokes all the time because he's a big child. So we're going to ignore him. Matter of fact, I'm about to block him off my live. So, Foxy One. No, okay. Get that. It's a really, really good book. I believe that it will really, really bless you. It'll really bless you. Off the top of my head, I can't remember his name, and I don't want to say the wrong name. Eckhart Tolle, I believe. Eckhart Tolle. Anybody out there who know the Four Agreements is, shoot it out there off the top of my head, and I don't want to jump off the screen and say anything and close out the live, but I do believe it's by Eckhart Tolle. Four Agreements. So, with that being said, we talked about projection, and we talked about looking at things through the lens of those projections and how they can harm us. But if we look at ourselves and do a lot of inward evaluation, self-evaluation, then we can fix those things. And it'll help us become, more in tune with ourselves spiritually, more in tune with the Creator, and we can have better relationships, because now we're not forcing someone to do something. We understand what love looks like for them, to them, for them, and we understand what love looks like for us, to us. And we're able to go into situations a little bit more aware. And I know I talk a lot about the law of awareness now, and the law of attraction, how they go hand in hand and in conjunction. So it's very, very important to be mindful of those things. As we go forward through the week, remember that I love you, and I'm sending you love, light, and blessings. This is Daryl Jones, your life warrior, signing off on this awesome Sunday, telling you peace. I love you. You got next, I got next, we got next. Justice League, let's go forward and do some work. I love you. Oh, I just got something pop up. I don't want to jump off what I was saying. Pray that not over Miss Fox, the Lord, omnipresent, stay in prayer because though you can't be there when you want, the Creator is powerful. Yes. And Sassy and Saved, let me say this. That is great. That's not out of order. That's encouragement. That's encouragement. And that's what my space, this space, the space that we're all on is all about. It's all about encouragement. And in this space, we encourage one another. And in this space, we have what I like to call the mastermind effect. And last week I talked about doing some intentions together as a group so that not only you have yourself putting out positive vibes into the atmosphere, into the universe, but you have a conglomerate, a group of people who were all together mindfully with intention to put out those things together in the universe for one another so that those things can happen even more powerfully, even much more faster in our lives. We can see them manifest and materialize. And so at some point in time, the Creator has laid it on my heart, I'm going to open a spiritual center, and that's going to be one of the main focuses of that. And that's what the Justice League, my thought process on the Justice League is about. It's just us, but anyone can come in and be with us. All you have to do is believe together with us that we can manifest the greatness and the positivity and those things that are powerfully positive and loving in one another's lives and in our own lives. But we must first be able to do that. We must first realize that there needs to be a community, a neighborhood aspect and a community neighborhood thought process with regard to that. Because like I said at the beginning, we're all here together. No one is here alone. No one is here alone. Sometimes we feel like we're alone, and that comes from numerous different things, but we're not. Someone out there loves you. Someone is out there praying for you. Someone is out there meditating for you, and they don't even know you. Someone is out there sending you positive love, light, and blessings, and they don't even know you, and so I'm going to be opening that up as a group for people to join that at some point in time in the future so that we can positively work on manifesting greatness in one another's lives and doing some things. And we're going to be working on things. And the Justice League is about the power life. The overall thing is Daryl Jones, Life Warrior, but the power solution, but the power life. And if you go to my website, you'll see the power acronym, at least small parts of it. And then you'll see life. And I talked about that on a live last week that I'm trying to get to come back up because they took it down for some reason. It didn't download it. But so as we do that, and as we do those intentions together, we should be able to see things manifest in our lives together, because we're doing it all together. And the more we do it together, the more powerful we all become. And I have this thing I like to talk about, in order to swim, in order to cause ripples in the water, you have to put your hand in the water, or you have to throw something in the water. You have to touch the water. If you put your hand in the water, you'll get small ripples. If you put your foot in the water, you'll get bigger ripples. But if you jump in the water, you can swim and you'll get greater ripples. The universe is like that. The smaller your intention, the smaller your voice out there, the smaller that ripple is going to be. The smaller the voice is going to hear. But when you put your intentions out there loudly in the universe, if we did it all together, if 100 voices lifted up powerfully together in the universe, you think the universe is going to hear that? You think God's going to hear that, the Creator? And so He hears us all, one on a small level as well. But when we're doing it all together, it's more powerful. It's very powerful. And that's relationship. That's relationship. And I really love that. I love relationship. Awesome. I hope you guys will all join in, on the Justice League, and we can do some great things together. Whenever I get a chance to get this spiritual center opened up, I hope that all of you get a chance to come down and visit whenever that's going to be. So I'm setting my intentions. I've already set those intentions into the universe, into the atmosphere, so that can begin to manifest. But I'm constantly training my mind. I'm constantly training my mind to become stronger. Hey, designer chick, what's happening? I haven't seen you in a long time. I love you. I love you. You're awesome. Designer chick, awesome, powerful friend, motivator, inspirer, and just a powerful woman of God. And she was great. She was great. As far as giving me encouragement at different times in life and stuff like that. I don't know if I ever told you, but if I didn't, I'm telling you now. So thank you for that. But so I love you all. I was getting ready to jump off, man. Let me see. I've never done this before. Request to begin. Let's see how this works. Oh, you jumped. Okay, Don. It was my first time. I was see how that works. But okay, one more time. Sending you guys love, light, and blessings. Make this an awesome and amazing week. Set your intentions for the week. Whatever your goals are. As a matter of fact, no, we're not going to jump off. I want everybody to type in something. What are your intentions for the week? Type in an intention you have for the week. Something small, you know. The easy stands for, if you haven't been to my profile, you know easy stands for something. Every day accomplish something for yourself and for your goals in reverse order. Okay? So, because when you accomplish little small goals, even if it's not a big one, when you accomplish small little things, they add up to a big whole. So, every day accomplish something for yourself, for your goals. Life with Tiffany, go eat clean. Yes. Watch the carbs. Foxy One, do this every Sunday. You want to do this every Sunday? All right. If y'all say we want to do this every Sunday, we'll do it every Sunday. I'm down for that. I'm down for that. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm very humbled that you guys would would be willing to jump on with me and exchange love, light, and energy every Sunday. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Um, I used to do that in the pulpit, but I'm not doing it anymore. So I moved on to spiritual calling. So goal to eat clean. I like that. Awesome. Who else has an intention down for every Sunday? I'm sure. I'm sure that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Who else? Who else? Foxy One, you got something? Oh, you said do this every Sunday. Yeah, but that's a good intention. But what's another intention that you got? Designer chick, what you got? Stand in my awesomeness, be a better presenter on my show, spreading love. You do that. You do that already. You do that. Don't be too hard on yourself. But yes, do critique yourself and do better um, according to your goals, not what somebody else um, says is necessarily better, unless they're your teacher or somebody that you admire. Okay, so have your goals. All right, intention. So yes, we could do this every Sunday if you guys are down. That's an awesome intention. I set my intentions to grow, to grow. Awesome. April, April's positive passion. Just moved, so to clean my closet this week. Finish unpacking. Awesome. I like that. Hey, whatever, every day accomplish something for your goals. I'm standing with you on that. I'm speaking that with you. I'm speaking all these with you guys right now. That's why I'm reading them out loud. Designer, we need to talk soon. Yes, man, we do need to talk soon. We will. We'll talk. I got to get with you on Voxer as well so we can keep the dialogue going. And if any of you guys want to find me on Voxer, because it's easy on Voxer to communicate and have verbal conversations so that you can get some tonalities and you can get um, the message and keep a verbal conversation going at the same time, even if it's for business. When I was overseas, I used Voxer. I used Voxer quite a bit. So it helped me stay in touch business wise with assistants and business people and friends and things like that. Who else? Who else? Anybody else got some intentions? Let's put those out here before I close out. Because we want to put them in the universe. We want that loud voice. We want that loud sound, so that it starts to happen. All right. And midweek, we want to do it. We want to talk about it again. And next week, we want to talk about it. Be intentional and encouraging. Yes. Be intentional and encouraging for ourselves, and intentional and encouraging for others. Yes. Sassy and Save said she wants to be intentional and encouraging. That's powerful and that's awesome. I love that. I love that. I love that. Relationships. All right, awesome people. Again, I love you, and I'm very grateful for you all. I'm very grateful for this time and this space, and sending you guys some love, some light, many blessings, and the fulfillment of your intentions and your life goals within this week and within weeks, days, months, and years to come. So I love you. Be blessed.